Tonight on Newswatch, cities across Ohio still feel the aftermath of Hurricane Helene.
Plus, updates after missiles struck Israel earlier today.
And in sports, a closer look at a coach with major ties to his community. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Lucy Schaefer.
And I'm Ashley Fry. Welcome to Newswatch. We've seen a lot of rain and cloudy skies in Athens. Are skies finally clearing up in Athens, Emily?
Thanks, Ashley. Yeah, we're really looking at these skies right now because if you're anything like us here in the studio, we are really anticipating having some clear skies because these cloudy skies have been hanging over us for quite a while. Right now, things are still unfortunately overcast, and even though our conditions outside are still pretty comfortable, still at that 71 degrees, our humidity has made things really just kind of muggy and sticky outside. We've had a lot of that rain from Hurricane Helene and a lot of that cloud coverage, from that area that's really holding in a lot of the moisture in our area, especially considering we've had a drought. So we've had a pretty big shift from our really dry conditions throughout the past couple of days to a lot of this rain. Now, taking a look at this radar behind me, throughout the day today, we saw a lot of this cloud coverage throughout the area continue on and a little spots of rain here and there. A lot of that was just a mist. So if you went outside at all today, you didn't really see too much of it. But taking a look at what's going on later in the evening and later tomorrow, we're going to continue to see clouds throughout the evening time. And then by tomorrow afternoon, things are looking pretty clear, and that's mainly going to be from this high pressure system that's sitting over the Midwest and Great Plains area. Now, right now we do have this cold front, so temperatures will be dropping ever so slightly, but for the most part, since we have a lot of this cloud coverage over the area, we're not going to feel too much of that effect. In fact, taking a look at tonight, again, still going to be seeing those mostly cloudy skies, but our overnight low will be at 55 degrees, so pretty similar to what we've been having these past couple of weeks. Now with that high pressure, things will be warming up a little bit, so be sure to stay tuned for my full forecast to find out just how warm things are going to get.
AEP continues to work to get over 200 Southeast Ohioans power. Hurricane Helene knocked out power in over 6,700 homes yesterday afternoon. 9 counties are being worked on, including Pike, Scioto, Gallia, and Vinton. 12 other counties have already been restored, including Athens and Hocking. AEP says power should be back on by 11 p.m. tonight, although crews are still assessing repairs and damages. Hurricane Helene is pressuring already strained food banks across the nation, and new funding will soon be available to help. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is providing over $1 billion for schools, childcare, and other organizations to purchase food, while also providing about $500 million for emergency food providers. That's a total of $1.7 billion. This comes as Congress struggles to pass the Farm Bill, another source of funding for emergency food providers and SNAP benefits.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine has announced new funding for Springfield schools. The funding will help relieve the sudden increases in student populations and provide better learning environments for the community. In recent years, Springfield has seen an increase in Haitian migrants. Other Ohio cities have also seen an increase in migrant populations. Cities like Findlay and Lima were provided funding to support translation technologies for students. The federal government allocated funding to respond to the emergent need in local schools and communities following the COVID-19 pandemic. The latest Ohio abortion report shows a dramatic increase in the number of abortions from 2022 to 2023. The report says there were 22,000 abortions in Ohio last year, a 19% increase from 2022. It also shows an 80% increase in abortions requested by out-of-state patients. Ohio voters approved a reproductive rights amendment last November, but Abortion Forward Executive Director Kelly Copeland says the future of abortion laws in Ohio depends on your votes this November. Senate incumbent Sherrod Brown has said he will work to protect abortion rights at the federal level, while Republican Bernie Moreno has consistently opposed those same reproductive rights.
Vice presidential candidates GOP Ohio Senator J.D. Vance and Democratic Minnesota Governor Tim Walz are preparing to face off tonight in their first debate. Julia Brenbook has more.
The stage is set for the vice presidential debate hosted by CBS in New York City. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz going head-to-head for the first time. Vance is a 40-year-old best-selling author and first-term senator. He'll make the case for former President Donald Trump.
The way I see the debate is very simple. It's an opportunity where for 90 minutes, Governor Walz and I are going to debate the issues that matter to the American people.
A source says Vance will likely attack Walz on his military service and label him as a liberal in moderates clothing.
He comes across as just a folksy, ag-friendly outdoorsman until you start peeling back the layers, and then you realize that he's more radical than Kamala Harris.
But Vice President Kamala Harris's aides are betting on what they describe as the everyman appeal of Walz to draw contrast with Vance. Walz is a 60-year-old governor and former congressman who often leans on his background as a teacher and high school football coach.
I expect him also to be talking directly to Americans about what's at stake in this election and not getting too caught up in the nonsense that J.D. Vance throws his way.
The vice presidential candidates could get the last word. The presidential nominees have not yet agreed to another round. Reporting in New York, I'm Julia Benbrook.
The debate starts at 9 p.m. tonight, and you can find it right here on WUB. The last day to register to vote is next Monday, October 7th. Registration forms can be found at most public schools and libraries. Forms can also be found at the BMV, Board of Elections, Athens County, Ohio Means Jobs, and Athens County Jobs and Family Services. The form must be turned into the Board of Elections before 9 p.m. Coming up, updates on the missile strike that occurred in Israel earlier today.
And new breast cancer data reveals that cases are on the rise.
Clouds have been in our forecast for the past couple of days, but we are finally seeing some sunshine on our radar. Be sure to stay tuned to Newswatch to find out how this will impact you.
On American Experience, exploring the little-known story of the second highest office in the land.
It's sort of shocking that we don't pay more attention to the seriousness of the office.
To take an office that for most of our history has been lampooned and to turn it into a consequential position is really one of the great modern successes of our system of government.
The American Vice President on American Experience.
Tonight at 8 on WOUB.
Ukrainian civilians flee their homes in search of safe refuge. A filmmaker's volunteer van becomes their shelter, hospital, and confessional. In the rear view on POV.
Monday at 10 on WOUB.
In the beginning, there have always been those of us looking for stories.
This is a huge moment.
I feel like there's nothing around that can stop me.
It's your being, it's who you are.
We need to do something to make a change.
I know that there are people like me up there.
We need to have a voice.
It's what you do next that matters.
You start to discover a deeper part of yourself.
My whole world changed instantly.
Significant escalation by Iran, a significant event.
We continue to follow breaking news from the Middle East tonight, where dozens of Iranian missiles light up the night sky over Israel.
The country's prime minister now saying Iran, quote, will pay for the attack. Some missiles were intercepted by Israeli defense systems, but military leaders say some made direct impact in central and southeastern Israel. So far, one person has been reported dead. Reports from Iranian media say the attack is in response to the killing of the leader of the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah.
We know now the attack appears to have been defeated and ineffective. Make no mistake, the United States is fully supportive of Israel.
U.S. Navy destroyers in the area helped in Israelis' defense, intercepting some of the missiles. The U.S. says they will coordinate with Israel on a response.
Now, even though we've seen a lot of rain from Hurricane Helene throughout the area, we unfortunately are still in a drought throughout southeast Ohio. All of this red that you're seeing means we are in a D4 and D3 exceptional and extreme drought throughout Ohio, and these maps are released every Thursday. So we're really hoping that after all of this rain and after this data is collected, that we will be seeing a new map released with hopefully a lot less red on it, because that means all this rain that we've been having has been having some significant impact. Now, in the meantime, things down here in Southeast Ohio are still overcast and very muggy outside. We've had, again, a lot of that rain, as I'm sure we've all experienced from that hurricane, really bumping up our humidity levels down here. So even though our temperatures should feel comfortable outside, that humidity is just making everything feel a lot hotter and a lot muggier. Now, the reason we're still seeing a lot of this weather throughout our area is because of this cold front. So even though our low pressure system that had Hurricane Helene kind of stalled out over our area is over the Atlantic Ocean, we now have this cold front that kind of came through the U.S. and is still pushing a lot of this weather, kind of condensing it over to all of this area. So all of this warm air and all of this moisture that came up from the Gulf is kind of hanging out around here for a little bit, producing those clouds that we're seeing and that little bit of mist that we saw earlier today. But taking a look behind that cold front, we have high pressure, which we haven't seen for a while. It was actually the cause of our drought. So this high pressure is going to be hanging out in our area for a while, pulling in also some cooler temperatures. So we'll remain in the 70s as well, even the lower 70s. So overnight, things are going to cool down because this high pressure is also going to be pushing our clouds out of the area. So we'll be seeing clearing skies coming up here pretty soon as well. But unfortunately, tonight is not that night. We'll still see mostly cloudy skies with, again, that low of 55 degrees. So our clouds are still going to hold in a lot of this heat in. But as we move throughout the day tomorrow morning will still be cloudy. But by around 1, 2 in the afternoon, depending on where you are, things are going to start to clear up and we'll start to see that sunshine poke out, which we haven't seen in quite a while. We'll still see the high of 73 degrees, but just like we were talking about with those clouds acting as that layer of insulation, that insulation will be gone, so our overnight low will be back cooler to that 74 kind of fall feeling that we all really miss. Now, taking a look at tonight, again, still see that cloud coverage, still see that rain kind of moving through and a little bit of that cold front. But again, here's a good look at where that high pressure will be stationed, especially moving into tomorrow. So right behind this, we see a lot of clearing going on, really allowing for a lot of this really nice weather to take shape. And again, moving through Thursday, that high pressure is still going to move into the area. Now, even behind that high pressure, we have this cold front that's kind of hanging out across the Great Plains Midwest region, and that's going to impact us about the middle of next week. So while we see some really nice weather throughout the rest of the week, actually on Sunday, that's when we're kind of taking a look at that rainy, kind of cloudy condition. So we'll see it's kind of mid to upper 70s, even into the 80s on Friday, because we have that high pressure moving through, allowing a lot of that sunshine to really poke up there and act really nicely. But by the time we move to Sunday, we see the rest of that high pressure hanging out, and then that's when that cold front is going to move through and really bring in a little of those showers that we're seeing, since again, we'll still have a little bit of that moisture hanging around the area. And then on Monday, we'll see those partly sunny skies, about 71, and that's going to be the effect of that cold front, because right behind that cold front, we have that high pressure system, which is going to leave us with those Tuesday sunny skies, and that's going to keep a high of 68. And so next week is really going to start to feel like fall. So this week is a little off on that, but by the time we reach beginning of next week, and it'll be the middle of October, things will finally start to gear up.
Yeah, Emily, you just mentioned fall. It's our first official week of fall, but not many of those leaves are changing. What can you tell us about that?
So the drought has impacted that a little bit since the trees haven't had a lot of water. Those leaves are really just kind of drying up and just falling pretty early. So hopefully this rain will allow us to see some of those fall colors I know we all love to see down here in Southeast Ohio. One of my favorite things about fall down here. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, because hopefully this rain will really help us, because that drought has really taken a toll, not just on the trees, but also on a lot of the crops throughout the area. So this rain was desperately needed throughout the Southeast Ohio region.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much, Emily. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden is calling on both sides in Tuesday's massive port strike to return to the negotiating table and land a deal. Laura Aguirre has more on its impacts.
They are taking it all the way to the picket line. Nearly 50,000 members of the International Longshoremen's Association went on strike at the stroke of midnight Tuesday.
We're out here for one reason: fighting for our rights, fighting for our families.
Our members have done the homework. They know their worth, and essentially they demand fair wages and better benefits.
But after weeks of tense negotiations with the United States Maritime Alliance, acceptable numbers on that worth haven't been reached. The alliance, which represents the major shipping lines, terminal operators, and port authorities, has offered wage hikes and claims the union isn't negotiating in good faith. Many members feel sacrifices made during the pandemic are being overlooked.
We didn't stop working. When the world went home, they couldn't go nowhere, the longshoremen, we worked these docks night and day.
Docks that are now at a virtual standstill along the U.S. East and Gulf coasts. This could stop the flow of a wide array of consumer goods into the country.
You're probably going to pay more for it, and it's going to take longer for you to get it.
The union says it won't be intimidated by a timeline.
Our membership's prepared to wait it out as long as it takes to secure a fair contract.
But the ILA's president does have a prediction.
We'll bring this country down in 3 weeks. Now it's time I want a piece of that pie for my members.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
As of this report, USMX has not had any updated response to today's strike. President Biden believes forcing workers back to work could cause operations to crawl.
Microsoft announced a major update to its Copilot AI system today. The company says it's added new features to make Copilot feel more personable. That includes a warmer tone that not only provides information, but also gives encouragement and advice.
I'm on the way to the party. What else can I get?
You could go for something versatile, like a nice set of artisanal teas, fancy olive oil, or a gourmet gift basket with like snacks and treats they can enjoy.
The new Copilot features also include real-time voice interactions and the ability to interpret images and text on users' screens. Microsoft is hoping this updated digital friend model will help it stand apart from other AI chatbots. The Copilot system has struggled to keep up with competitors since it's originally launched as Bing a year and a half ago.
The American Cancer Society estimates more than 310,000 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year. New data finds less women are dying from the disease, but more are experiencing its effects. Mandy Gaither has a look at the new data.
It's good news, but also bad. First, a new American Cancer Society report reveals overall breast cancer death rates have plummeted 44% in the past 35 years.
Which is really a dramatic decrease. And we think that's, over 500,000 breast cancer deaths have been averted, which is really spectacular.
But researchers also discovered an upward trend in breast cancer incidence, with the steepest increase in women younger than 50, rising by 1% each year between 2012 and 2021, and Asian American and Pacific Islander women of any age increasing in that time by up to 2.7% a year. The report also says that while more white women are diagnosed with breast cancer, more black women die from it, especially young black women.
So if you're a black woman between the ages of 20 and 29, you're really 2 times more likely to die of breast cancer than your white classmate or your white colleague.
Dr. William Dayhutt believes screenings and new treatments have led to the overall breast cancer death rate drop, but he says closing the disparity gaps for all women will take more research.
What is driving the cancer risk, whether it's obesity, changes in childbearing habits, or really whether it's a lot of it may be driven to really access to the right kind of care.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
In an effort to address ongoing cancer disparities, the American Cancer Society launched a study called Voices of Black Women. It's aimed at researching younger black women in the U.S.
Next in sports, how a football coach is giving back to his community.
On Nova Solar System.
If you have a different atmosphere, you get different weather, different phenomena playing out.
Oh, Venus has clouds. They're battery acid.
Buckets of rain are falling. It's not water, but liquid methane.
It's a moon that looks like this, not a planet.
Storm worlds.
You would be stunned by what you see.
On Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Our world is transforming before our very eyes, and we need to be ready. So join me in the lab and in the field to discover the latest science about our changing weather and climate and how a better future is within reach. Join me for Weathered.
You were my #1 suspect. Glad to hear it.
You think you know a little more than you're telling us?
Just build up the tension even more.
If you insist.
What I've got to do is going to tear me apart.
You helped us get to the truth.
Whatever happened here, it wasn't what we think. We're searching for a killer.
Hidden threat. Betrayal. There's got to be a connection.
Sunday on WOUB.
This year, Gridiron is back and better than ever with our 25th season. I'm your host, Haley Hollinger.
And I'm your digital host, Donovan Varney. Throughout the week, make sure to tune into our Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube for game preview segments on the pregame huddle. If you still can't get enough high school football, check out our Instagram and TikTok for more weekly content.
And of course, we'll see you right here every Friday night at 11:30 p.m. because there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Welcome to sports. I'm Stephen Caroli. Nathan Van Meter, the head football coach at Crooksville High School, is not just a football coach. At Crooksville, he's also a baseball coach, golf coach, educator, father, the list goes on and on. But what transcends his commitment and service to his community is who he is as a person. Just 1 year ago, Nathan Van Meter was not on the sidelines for Crooksville football. He was in the press box. That's Van Meter on the call, who brings energy to every role he's given.
The kids love the energy that I provided on the announcing, and it was just something that I have a blast with.
But in July, Van Meter got a call asking him to step away from the mic and become the new head coach for Crooksville football.
Stay on your blocks, most physical team wins. They come to me saying, if there's anybody that's going to be able to get this job done, it's you. You know, bringing anybody in new to a community that's already dealing with adversity would have been a big time challenge, more than what it already is for me. You know, I was very honored that they even thought of me.
Van Meter got the call after former head coach Gage Latozo stepped down at the end of July. He says Latozo laid a foundation for his team.
Hey, still be ready. You know what I mean? I tip my cap to Latozo because the way he's laid out what he wanted to accomplish this year with this group of kids, it's been an easy process and an easy transition for me to step in to be able to, you know, not fill his shoes, but help this program the way I can do it.
Even before he began his career on the sideline,
"What's your name in the paper, Browning?"
Van Meter has played a major part in Crooksville's history. He started at quarterback and safety while leading Ceramics football to an 8-2 record in their last playoff berth in 2004, and in 2020 was inducted to the school's Hall of Fame.
I was fortunate enough to have upperclassmen that I still communicate with to this day, and guys that just bought into an idea that it's greater than us.
Off the field, over the past 13 years, Van Meter has been an educator.
You never did tell me if you liked my dance move I had there last week.
Splitting his time between an intervention specialist as well as a physical education and health teacher. Van Meter says he takes those roles just as serious as coaching.
And it's nice for me that I get to see my athletes, and then I get to see a group of students that they don't care about athletics. They just want to either get a job and work, or they want to be successful in another way.
Van Meter is also the head golf coach along with football. But before he took the football job, he made it clear he was not willing to turn his back on his golfers.
I've got 7 guys on my golf team that I've been grinding with for 4 straight years. I told him, I'm like, I know it's going to be a lot, but I still want to be a part of that program.
Giving back to the community.
I would be doing myself a disservice if I did not pass that along to these young guys.
That has already given him so much.
Been a lot of dudes before us, and there's going to be a lot of dudes after. How do you want to be remembered?
The Ceramics under Van Meter's leadership have been led to a 4-2 record so far this season. That is the best start we've seen from Crooksville since 2010. Safe to say that Van Meter has made an immediate impact. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Stephen Crowley.
Still ahead, this former president made history today.
Governor Tim Walz.
The ball's in our hands. Let's find a new way forward.
Senator J.D. Vance.
We are going to lead a great American comeback.
How will the candidates for vice president convince voters to support their respective tickets?
Tonight at 9 on WOUB.
This is the PBS Video app. Install it on your phone, tablet, smart TV, or other streaming device, and use it to access more of the PBS shows you love. But if you're looking for even more shows to binge like this, or early access to shows like this, then look for this icon. That's the PBS Passport icon, and it means that video is part of PBS Passport. Passport is our way of saying thank you to our station members. Donate to your local PBS station today, and one of the member benefits you'll receive is PBS Passport, which offers extended access to a growing library of new and favorite PBS programs. You can support your station and your community by becoming a member today. Visit pbs.org/getpassport for details. Watch PBS Passport anytime on any screen, wherever you stream. It's your ticket to the best of PBS.
Far too often, Latinos are omitted from the great American narrative.
There's been Latinos in this country for 500 years, before it was even formed as a country.
Phoenix, Los Angeles. Without Mexican railway workers, these cities do not exist.
Latinos have participated in every single conflict that the United States has ever had.
Without us Latinos, the United States would be a very different place.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
A Wisconsin shipwreck missing for 130 years was found in 5 minutes by a very lucky pair of ship hunting historians. In 1895, the tugboat John Evanson was lost after colliding with a larger steamer in Wisconsin's Sturgeon Bay Canal. The wreck was widely reported, but search efforts didn't start until the late 1980s, and with no success. Last month, maritime historians combined historical records with modern search tech and planned out on a 3-day search. But after a mere 5 minutes after they started scanning, they discovered the sunken boiler. The pair immediately marked and thoroughly documented the discovery, eventually using more than 2,000 photos to have a full 3D rendering of the site created. The historians now plan to nominate the site to the National Register of Historic Places and hope to make it available for sport divers to visit.
Former President Jimmy Carter has made history today. Carter just turned 100 years old, becoming the first president in U.S. history to hit the centennial mark. And a number of events to celebrate are in the works. That includes a flyover of military jets over his hometown Plains, Georgia, where a naturalization ceremony and concert will also be held. According to family members, Carter's birthday wish is to vote in the presidential election. The former president entered hospice care in February 2023 after a series of hospital stays. He is a survivor of metastatic brain cancer, liver cancer, and underwent brain surgery after a fall in 2021. 100 years for Jimmy Carter, that's insane. One can only hope.
I think it's really cool how he's also been able to stay so involved in the community too.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that his last wish is just to vote in the 2024 election. I think that's really cool.
For sure. I really hope he's able to enjoy his celebration today, because that's really something to celebrate as a whole 100 years. But taking a look at what's going on tonight with your final weather, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies, still the remains of Hurricane Helene and a cold front moving through. The cold front's not going to affect our temperatures too much. It's mainly this cloud coverage and the high pressure coming in that's really going to impact us. So we have the overnight low of 55, and tomorrow we're going to finally see some clear skies. So we have that high pressure scooting over our area, as well as Thursday, and sneaking up behind it, we have a cold front establishing itself again. So taking a look at the next couple of days, we'll see that slow increase of temperatures because, again, that high pressure allowing a lot of that sunshine to really come in and warm everything up. And then Sunday, that's when we're going to see that cold front move in, a little bit of rain possibly in the area, and then things will finally start to feel like fall next week.
Well, that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Stephen Caroli and Emily Dietz, I'm Lucy Schaefer.
And I'm Ashley Fry. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great night.